You can't be serious, Luca. She's just a waitress. What will the world think? Luca stood at the head of the grand dining table, his parents seated across from him, the weight of the conversation hanging in the air. His mother's sharp gaze met his, her voice calm but firm. You can't be serious, Luca, she said, her eyes narrowing. She's just a waitress. What will the world think? Luca felt the anger rise his chest, but he kept his voice steady. I don't care about what the world thinks. His father leaned forward, his voice like steel. We've built this empire for you. You have everything, wealth, power, status. Why would you throw it all away for her? Luca's eyes shifted to the window, his mind racing. He thought of Amara, the woman who had stolen his heart. She was nothing like the women his family had expected him to marry. No pedigree, no wealth, no status. She had been working as a waitress in a small cafe when he first met her. And in that moment, everything in Luca's life had changed. The first time he saw her, she smiled at him, a simple, genuine smile that was full of warmth. She didn't care that he was a billionaire, didn't know who he was or what he had. She treated him like any other person who walked into her cafe, and Luca found that refreshing. It felt like he could finally breathe. Days turned into weeks, and their connection grew stronger. They began to share more than just casual conversations. They shared their dreams, their fears, their hopes for the future. With Amara, Luca felt seen, heard, and understood in a way that no one had ever made him feel. He didn't need anything else. He just needed her. One evening, after a walk in the park, Luca stopped in front of Amara's apartment. He took her hands in his, looking into her eyes. I want you to be a part of my world, Amara, he said, his voice filled with conviction. Forever. Amara's eyes filled with uncertainty. But we both know the world won't understand, she whispered. You have everything, and I have nothing. Can we really make this work? Luca smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. I don't need all that. Amara, all I need is you. The words lingered in the air, and Amara finally nodded, her heart racing in her chest. I want that too, Luca. The very next day, Luca made his decision. He walked away from his family's expectations, from the wealth and power that were supposed to define his life. He chose Amara. He went to her apartment, took her hands once again, and said, I don't care about all of this, the mansion, the money, the family name. I just want you. Amara's eyes shone with tears. Are you sure? She asked, her voice trembling. Luca nodded. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. They married in a small ceremony, surrounded by only a few friends who truly understood the depth of their love. It wasn't a lavish wedding his parents had planned for him, but it was perfect for them. The day was filled with laughter, joy, and the kind of love that didn't need a label or a price tag. Their life together wasn't easy. They didn't have the luxury of a private jet or a mansion, but every day they had each other. And for Luca, that was enough. Months later, they sat together on a modest porch, watching the sunset, their fingers intertwined. They didn't need the wealth or the grandeur. They had found something more valuable than any material possession. They had found love, and that was worth everything. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Luca whispered, I don't need anything else, Amara. With you, I have everything. And in that moment, surrounded by the simple beauty of their life, they knew that love was the one thing that would always remain. Weeks passed, and while Luca and Amara built their life together, the echoes of his decision continued to reverberate through his family. His mother and father refused to speak to him, the silence between them a constant reminder of the choice he'd made. Their mansion, once a place of warmth and security, now felt cold, distant. One afternoon, Luca's phone rang. It was his mother. He hadn't heard from her in over a month. His heart skipped, but he answered. Luca? Hello? Luca's mother, coldly. Luca, you've made your choice. I just wanted to remind you that Amara doesn't belong in our world. You're throwing your life away. Luca, fighting back the pain. She's everything to me, Mom. I've never been happier. You can't understand that, but I hope one day you will. There was a long pause on the other end, and Luca could almost hear her tears. Luca's mother broken. You'll regret this. You'll see. She'll never fit in. You'll come crawling back when she can't handle the pressure. Luca's chest tightened, but he stayed silent, refusing to engage in the same old battle. The call ended with no more words. Amara noticed Luca's distant mood as the days passed. He didn't want to burden her, but the strain of losing his family was heavy. They hadn't had a true conversation about it yet. Not about how his family's rejection was slowly eating away at him. She could see it in his eyes every time they sat together. He was torn between his love for her and the life he had walked away from. One night, after dinner, Amara finally confronted him. Amara, Luca, something's wrong. I can see it. Talk to me. Luca sighed, running a hand through his hair. He looked at her, the weight of his choices hanging over him like a dark cloud. Luca, I'm not sure if I can do this anymore. Amara, I love you, I do. But my family, they won't ever accept us. They've turned their backs on me, and I'm starting to wonder if I've made the biggest mistake of my life. Amara's heart shattered at the pain in his voice. She reached out to him, her hands trembling. Amara, softly, you don't need them, Luca. You've chosen me. You've chosen love. We'll build our life, our family, our future. You don't have to go back to them. But deep down, Amara knew it wasn't that simple. Luca had built his life with his family's approval, and now he had lost it all. The conflict inside him was tearing him apart. Days turned into weeks, and Luca became more distant, withdrawing into himself. Amara tried everything she could to hold on to their love, but the pressure of Luca's guilt and the haunting thoughts of what he had given up were too much for him. One evening, as Luca sat alone in the living room, his phone rang again. This time, it was his father. Luca's father said to him, I'm offering you a way back, son. You can have your place in the family again. You don't have to throw everything away for her. Luca's hand clenched around the phone. The temptation to go back to the life of power, wealth, and influence was strong. But then he looked at the picture on the wall, a picture of him and Amara at their wedding, smiling in their simple happiness. Luca, I've already made my decision, Dad. I'm not coming back. I've chosen my life with Amara. Luca's father said, You will regret this, Luca. You're nothing without us. You're throwing away everything we've built, everything you could ever want. And for what? A girl from nowhere. Luca's heart pounded in his chest. The familiar battle was back. He wanted to scream, to fight back, but he knew that if he did, it would only tear him apart. So he hung up. That night, Luca lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The doubts crept in again. Was he really making the right choice? Could he live without his family? The guilt gnawed at him, and the weight of everything he had lost felt unbearable. But then Amara came into the room, her presence a comfort. She sat beside him, not saying a word, just holding his hand. I'm not going anywhere, Amara said to Luca. We've built something together. We're stronger than they ever gave us credit for. Her words were the anchor he needed. Despite the storm swirling inside him, her unwavering love was a reminder of what really mattered. The next day, Luca went to see his parents one last time. He walked into their mansion, his heart heavy with the burden of his decision. I've come to say goodbye. I love you, but I can't keep living my life in your shadow. I've chosen a different path. I'll always be grateful for everything you've given me, but I can't live for you anymore. I have to live for myself. I have to live for Amara. His mother and father stood frozen, their faces a mix of anger and sorrow. But Luca didn't flinch. He knew what he had to do. Luca said to his father, I'll never forget what you've done for me, but my future is with Amara, and that's where I'm going. With one final look, Luca turned and walked out of the mansion, the weight of his choice both freeing and terrifying at the same time. The door closed behind him, and for the first time in weeks, Luca took a deep breath. He was free. Amara stood waiting for him, her arms open. Without a word, they embraced, knowing that the road ahead would be hard. But with each other, they would face whatever came their way. And for the first time, Luca truly believed it. Love was worth everything. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you on the next one. Bye.